If you woke up tomorrow and every machine on Earth suddenly stopped working, your life would collapse within days. And the terrifying truth is that the world you depend on was not built slowly or peacefully, but detonated into existence in a violent economic explosion that began in the late 1700s and rewired human life forever. And the Industrial Revolution was not just about machines or factories, but about power, money, control, and a hidden system that quietly shaped the modern world you live in today. Because before this moment in history, almost every human being on Earth lived the same way their ancestors had lived for thousands of years, waking with the sun, working the land, producing just enough to survive, and going to sleep in darkness. And for centuries, life barely changed. Progress crawled forward so slowly that a farmer in 1500 lived almost the same life as a farmer in the year 500. And if you had been born before 1700, you likely would have never traveled more than 20 miles from where you were born. You would have never seen a city larger than a small town, and you would have never imagined a world where goods were produced by machines instead of human hands. And then everything changed faster than anyone could comprehend. Because in Britain, a strange chain reaction began that would transform human civilization faster than any event before it. And the first twist in this story is shocking. Because the Industrial Revolution did not begin with factories or machines, but with money and a quiet financial revolution that most people never hear about. Because before machines could change the world, banks and investors had to change how money worked. And in the 1600s and early 1700s, Britain developed something revolutionary: modern banking, national debt stock markets, and private investors who were willing to risk money for massive profit. And suddenly, wealthy elites had a new obsession. Not land, not titles, not kings, but investment and exponential growth. And this is the first hidden system behind the Industrial Revolution. The elite realized that machines could multiply productivity, and productivity meant profit, and profit meant power, and power meant control of the future. And while most people imagine inventors as lone geniuses building machines in barns, the truth is that investors funded the Industrial Revolution the way venture capital funds tech startups today. And once money started chasing innovation, the explosion became unstoppable. And here comes the first rehook. Because the Industrial Revolution began with clothing. Not steam engines, not trains, not steel, but fabric. Because in the 1700s, the biggest global business on Earth was textiles, and people were desperate for cheaper clothing, cotton, and fabric. And demand exploded faster than humans could produce goods by hand. And that created a crisis of productivity, because demand was rising but human labor could not keep up. And when demand rises faster than production, prices rise. And when prices rise, profits become irresistible. And when profits become irresistible, invention begins. And in 1733, a man named John Kay invented the flying shuttle, a simple device that allowed a single weaver to produce cloth twice as fast as before. And this sounds small, almost boring, but this moment triggered a domino effect that would change the world forever. Because suddenly weaving became faster than spinning thread, which created a shortage of yarn, which forced new inventions. And in 1764, James Hargreaves invented the spinning jenny, allowing workers to spin multiple threads at once, and production exploded again. And then came the water frame, and then the spinning mule. And suddenly the textile industry transformed into a machine-powered productivity monster. And this leads to the first major reveal. The Industrial Revolution was not a single invention, but a chain reaction of problems creating new inventions. Each invention creating new shortages. Each shortage creating new opportunities. And this loop of crises and innovation became the engine of modern capitalism. And here comes a twist most people never learn in school. Because the Industrial Revolution was not immediately seen as progress by ordinary people, it was terrifying, because machines were replacing human labor. And for the first time in history, workers feared becoming obsolete. And this fear triggered the Luddites. Groups of workers who broke into factories at night and smashed machines to stop them from taking their jobs. And imagine the tension of that moment. Factories rising across the countryside. Smoke filling the sky. Machines replacing skilled workers, and people wondering if the future even needed them anymore. And this fear still exists today with artificial intelligence and automation, proving the second major reveal. The Industrial Revolution never ended. It simply evolved. And the same anxiety workers felt in 1800 is the same anxiety workers feel today, because technology always threatens existing jobs while creating new ones. And here comes another reel. Because the invention that truly ignited the Industrial Revolution was not the spinning jenny, not the loom, but the steam engine. And when James Watt improved the steam engine in the late 1700s, he unlocked something humanity had never possessed before: unlimited mechanical power. And for thousands of years, human civilization depended on muscles, animal strength, wind, and water. But now machines could run anywhere, anytime, regardless of weather or geography. And this changed everything, because factories no longer needed rivers. They could be built in cities. And this triggered the rise of urbanization. Millions of people moving from farms into crowded cities to work in factories. And the shift happened so fast that cities were unprepared. And the result was chaos. Overcrowding, pollution, child labor, dangerous working conditions, and here comes the emotional twist. Because while the Industrial Revolution created massive wealth, most workers lived in brutal poverty during its early decades. And children as young as 6 worked in factories and mines. And families lived in cramped housing with no sanitation. And the modern world was built on suffering most history books barely mention. And this leads to the third major reveal. The Industrial Revolution created the middle class. But first, it created massive inequality, because factory owners became incredibly rich while workers struggled to survive. And this imbalance triggered social movements, labor unions, and eventually modern labor laws. And every weekend you enjoy today exists because workers fought for shorter hours during this era. And every workplace safety rule exists because early factories were dangerous. And the modern work week was born from this struggle between profit and people. And here comes another rehook. Because the Industrial Revolution didn't just change work, it changed time itself. Because before factories, people worked based on daylight and seasons. But factories needed precise schedules. And this led to the invention of standardized time zones, and strict work hours. And suddenly time became money. Productivity became measurable, and the modern obsession with efficiency was born. And this mindset still controls the world today. And now we arrive at a powerful parallel to modern life, because the Industrial Revolution introduced the idea that economic growth must never stop, that production must always increase, that progress must always accelerate. And this idea drives modern capitalism, stock markets, corporate growth, and global competition. And here comes a shocking perspective shift. Because the Industrial Revolution did not just change Britain, it reshaped the entire planet, triggering global trade expansion, colonization, and resource extraction on a massive scale. And the demand for raw materials fueled empires and global supply chains. And the world economy became interconnected for the first time. And the seeds of globalization were planted. And this leads to another twist, because the Industrial Revolution also triggered the greatest population growth in human history. As medicine improved, food production increased, and living standards slowly rose, and humanity's population began skyrocketing, and the modern world began taking shape. And now we reach the final emotional build toward the lesson. Because the Industrial Revolution transformed humanity from a species limited by nature into a species that reshapes nature itself, building cities, industries, and technologies that would have seemed impossible just a few centuries earlier. And yet the same forces that created prosperity also created environmental challenges, inequality, and the relentless pressure of modern work life. And the hidden system that began in the 1700s still runs the world today, shaping your job, your schedule, your economy, and your future. And this brings us to the final thought that should leave you thinking long after this video ends. Because we are now living through a new industrial revolution driven by artificial intelligence, automation, and digital technology. And just like in the 1700s, some people will become incredibly wealthy. Some jobs will disappear, new jobs will emerge, and society will transform faster than we expect. And the question history asks us now is the same question people faced 250 years ago. Will this revolution create opportunity for everyone, or repeat the cycle of inequality and disruption? And that answer depends on how we respond today. So if this story changed how you see the world, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments. Are we ready for the next industrial revolution, or are we repeating the same story all over again? This is Finance TED Official, and history is still being written.